Hey everyone, what's up? Place of Bones Patreon members, thank you for supporting us here on Cinematics. You guys get the early access for our spoilers, and then eventually we'll release these spoilers a week or two later on our respective YouTube channel or channels. Eric Holmes, what did you want to talk about? Place of Bones, some spoiler stuff.
Well, I got a question for you, Greg.
Yeah.
Why do you suppose this movie's called Place of Bones?
Okay, well, great. I was thinking the Place of Bones is a direct reference to the father of the family who was his grave is out there in the remote ranch. So I'm playing devil's advocate. So is that why? Because you see the cross and then you see his body right outside that whole, I guess, the front yard of the remote ranch. Is that why it's Place of Bones, Eric Holmes? Because of
I
the
mean,
father?
that's definitely one reason why it could be called Place of Bones. Another reason could be that the Heather Graham and Corey Nemec and everyone trapped in maybe they're dead people walking, or
Yes.
perhaps you're not attacking us, we're attacking you.
Yes.
Probably we're trying to draw you in. Perhaps Heather Graham is a Black Widow of sorts. When she said that thing at the very end, the hairs on the back of my neck went straight up. I'm like, oh my God, oh my God, I cannot believe this is what this is.
Well, I
Heather
forgot what.
Graham and her daughter are cannibals.
Yes.
And
Yes.
she looks at Corey Nemec and it's like, hey, I'd like to thank you. I can't remember the line exactly, but it was something along the lines of, I thank you for bringing your buddies in to help us because we're going to eat well over the winter.
Right. That was a great. So when you realized that, did you feel like I felt, no, I didn't feel, I felt a little bit stupid that I didn't even, my mind didn't wander there.
I
I was
don't,
completely surprised.
I think that's a good twist because I don't think it's a cheat because, well, normally with movies like this, it's a cheat when they're like they do the twist and you're like, I don't get it, and then they start explaining it and they start explaining a bunch of stuff that you would have no idea of what happened. This is a situation where it's just one line and you get it. Like it's I don't think it's a twist you can figure out, which is one reason why it's so good. It's not a twist you can figure out, but when it happens, they don't have to do a bunch of backpedaling going, oh, here's a bunch of stuff we forgot to tell you because we're trying to hide the twist. It's just like that little extra, putting a little extra lemon zest on the movie to make it that little much better.
Okay, so on the spoilers of Place of Bones, Eric, when the daughter is shot in the barn by one of the outlaws, did you
Yeah.
think she was dead? And were you surprised when she showed up alive later?
I assumed she was going to come back, and then
Oh,
it took a
cool.
while, and then she wasn't getting up. And I'm like, ah, she's probably dead. And then she came back, and it's like, that might have been something that kind of kept it from being a 6.9 and only kept it a 5 star.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I just kind of rolled with it.
I
But
asked the
yeah, that
director.
I could see someone watching this movie and then watching her come back and then because just how people are when they watch movies like this, I could see him be like, that's screw that.
Right.
Um,
I asked.
but I didn't have a problem with that. I just rolled with it.
So we're gonna after this spoiler, quick spoiler, Eric, I'm gonna put the audio stuff, actually the video stuff that I have with Audrey Cummings. I didn't send it to you yet. We spent several minutes talking about the ending of the movie. So the daughter, I asked her about the daughter. How did she come back from that shot? Was she grazed? And she basically said, Audrey Cummings said, well, the daughter was basically grazed in that, and that's why she came back. So we're assuming she was just grazed. She wasn't
Yeah, it looks
was
like she was like hitting the shoulder maybe or something.
possible. Okay, so that and she said there was an Easter egg in the movie, and something she said the Easter egg is she towards the end of the movie she goes to her father's grave and then she she finds some money either in the grave or she had some money on the grave, something like that. And she said essentially what's going to happen to the daughter is the daughter is going to leave the ranch, and the Easter egg is she's going to take some of that money and go into town because she's that's a coming of age story for the daughter as well
All right.
at the end of Place of Bones, which I think that's pretty cool because
Yeah, that wasn't clear in the movie, but like that's a real interesting Easter egg because like you can go back and watch it and
yes,
see if all that tracks or not.
yeah, yeah. So that's a really cool Easter egg.
And like speaking of what tracks is the cannibalism stuff,
Mm,
I don't think no matter how much you're paying attention to, I can't see that someone would see that twist coming because it's
yeah.
just like way out of left field. But at the same time, I think if you went back and watched it, having watched the movie one time, I think you could go back and watch it again going, okay, this all tracks. Like
Right.
they're not laying the crumbs for you to figure it out. But at the same time, after you know it, you can watch it again and go, yeah, they weren't cheating. Like this all makes sense, but like what kind of trail would they leave for you? Oh,
Yeah.
by the way, I sure could go for some meat right now, human meat. Not that I'm a cannibal or anything, and then just move. Like it wouldn't be that obvious, like but you could see how they're living and the stuff they care about and the stuff they don't care about. It kind of makes sense.
Makes sense. And final question, Eric. The meat that she serves Corin Nemec that he eats, I
Yeah,
forget they
that
they
was
come
his
do they
leg.
that was his leg, right?
Yeah,
Wow, that was pretty awesome.
unless I completely misread that, she fed him his own leg. I was
Yeah,
like,
it's
oh,
so
that's so good.
it's so disgusting because when she's cooking that meat, you could hear the gristle and the whole thing when she's cooking it. It
And actually, you know what? Maybe you could figure it out because there was a point where when they cut his leg off, I was thinking, like, what'd they do with it? Like,
yeah,
they feed it to the dogs or they bury it or throw it over. Like,
yeah.
but then I just thought of that the scene he wakes up and his leg's gone. And it's like, okay, his leg's gone. Not important. It's just one of those things in the movie. It's not important. We're not going to deal with it. I just kind of threw it off as that. And then once I they get to the twist, I'm like, oh, they fed him his own leg. That's so good.
That's very, very good. Okay, folks, that is our spoiler discussion. Very quick spoiler discussion of Place of Bones. And again, check it. Don't stop at this end of this video because Audrey Cummings, she will talk about some of the spoiler stuff on Place of Bones. That's it, Eric. You want to sign off with anything?
Audrey Cummings, please make more movies and please let me watch them.
Yes, 100%. So you guys, thanks for supporting us here on Cinematics. Now, I'm going to cut this part of the interview out for the spoiler section and I'm going to release it a week later. But so a big attraction, you like Westerns, you really love the script.
Yeah.
This movie has a knockout punch. Was a knockout punch the fact that Pandora and her daughter, they're surviving off the land literally by by eating their fellow humans. Was that a huge knockout punch as far as you getting onto that project?
Oh yeah, I loved it. And I loved it what I love the most is that they're not like it's a means of survival. So the men who come to, take try to I okay, so Pandora in the movie talks about how her husband died a long time ago and her daughter just kept living there and the land died away with them. And the way I kind of envisioned was, they weren't cannibals to begin with. It just became a means to an end for survival. Like, so if these cowboys end up on the land back in the 1800s, you could assume two women living by themselves, they were kind of sitting ducks. And so this woman just saw these men who would come to the site as food. And one of my favorite things is after the shock of what happens, it's so casual in the next scene afterwards. Like life goes on as normal. They went grocery shopping, like it's just another day.
So look, okay, so Hester, I'm so glad that she survived, but you're
Yeah,
thinking because there is a gunshot. I'm thinking, was she just surprised? Was she able to survive the gunshot? Did it not hit her? Did it graze her? Can you
it
explain
grazed her. It grazed her. And also, I love her character, by the way, because she starts the film. She's very like under her mother's, iron fist. And you can tell like she's a rebel just waiting to explode out of there. And there's a part of her that wants to grow up and wants to become a woman and an older teenager that she should be. But she's been living this kind of repressed life. And so all this has been the sort of like opening of the can for her where she's, experiencing so much and growing into a woman and uncovering the gaze of a man and what, all that kind of stuff. And then at the end, though, you can still see that she's got a bit of her mom and her little darkness in there. And then there's an Easter egg that I put in the end credit sequence for what Hester's journey will be.
have to do a rewatch? So you're not going to spoil it for us and tell us what the Easter egg is, then, right? You're not going to.
Well, I can if you want me
Oh,
to.
yeah, yeah. Please do, and I'm going to go back and rewatch it and hit myself for not checking it out. So
So in the credit sequence, she leans down in front of her father's grave and she takes out some of the money that her mother thought she burned.
yeah, that
So
was
back in the apron, she's going to be leaving that ranch at some point with some money.
I really love how you end that movie really in flux, and they and it's really for me. I know it's a dark movie, but it's kind of resonant that they paid a little bit of just honor to Corin Nemec's character because he ended up
Oh.
being. Was that your was that already in the script? Because that was cool. He was a bad guy, but he did honorable things in his final moments, and they honored him too. So
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that was in the script. Yeah. But what Corin brought to the table that I thought was really wonderful was, okay, first of all, I'm going to let you in on something. I had a lot of trouble casting that role when I first started with it because I think it's really intimidating for male actors to think about, or any actor really, but I'm saying male because this was the role, but it's really intimidating to think that you have to basically lay in a bed the whole film and you have to go through the whole gamut of emotions from terrified, anger, whole, vulnerable, insecure. He's got to project every single possible emotion in this bed for the whole film. You can't rely on other things, other than just like you. And I had trouble casting it because of that. And Corin was like, as soon as he read the script, he was like, I'm putting myself on camera. I'm showing it. Like, he was very forthcoming about because he didn't need to put himself on camera. He's Corin Nemec. But he did. And I saw him and I was like, oh my God, this guy's amazing. And then when he came to set, something evolved in the character where he started bringing in these little bits of comedy as well. And I was like, this is brilliant because the film needs these moments of comedic, little bits of comedic relief and stuff. And some of them were written in the script and some of them he ad-libbed and just went with it. I mean, he gave himself fully to the role, which I thought was absolutely incredible.